There you see the Freedom Tower stands 1,776 feet high, counting the antenna on top. It took so long to build, but man, it was worth the wait. The entire complex has been rebuilt. It looks totally different, but no one will ever forget because of the museum that's built commemorating the 9/11 attacks 18 years ago.
Yeah, the families are going to arrive at 7 o'clock at the 9/11 Memorial here in New York City to remember today, 18 years ago. President and First Lady will participate in a moment of silence. There'll be 6 different moment of silences for each of the planes that hit and the 2 towers that fell.
Meanwhile, just about 15 minutes ago, as you can see, a little cloudy here in New York City, about 15 minutes ago, there on the face of the Pentagon, they unfurled the flag, as they do every year since September the 11th, 2001, to mark the 184 people who died in the attack that day. Right now, we are joined by the man who was mayor of New York City at the time, Rudy Giuliani, who has also been the president's attorney over the last year or so. Rudy, it's hard to believe it was 18 years ago.
Sometimes it's very hard to believe that it is. I was just saying that to someone, and sometimes it seems like
18 months ago.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like yesterday, and sometimes it's like 100 years ago. It's very hard to say. But when you come up to it, I went down there a week ago, and hadn't been there in a while, and it brought back a lot of the feelings and the memories. The strange thing is, a lot of the emotion doesn't go away when you get confronted with it. You don't remember it as often now, 18 years later, but when you do remember it, in some ways it's more powerful.
So what's interesting is I always remember heading down while the towers were hit because we were on the air. I'm heading down with the crew, and we stopped just to be the camera guy says, we have to take a shot of this where we're in Broadway. Right. And then there's some guy with a jean shirt on and a tie, and he's sitting there and he's cursing. I go, what's going on? And he said, I go, the towers are hit. And I go, we're heading down there. And he said, well, the Pentagon was hit. I go, how do you know? He goes, I'm on the phone with the Pentagon. When did you find out?
I found out about it right before we got into the building that Bernie Kerik, who you just had on, had set up with communications equipment. So I got there. I rushed down to Pete Gansey, who was the chief running the fire. I put Bernie and him together so that they make sure the right firefighters and police officers were there. And then I asked Bernie to set up an office for us because the phones weren't working. The cell phones weren't working 100%. So the police department opened up an office for us. I went into the office. As I was walking in the office, somebody said, we think the Pentagon was hit. Somebody else also yelled out the Sears Tower.
Chicago.
And the first thing I did when I got there, they called the White House, and I asked for President Bush, and I got Chris Hennick on, who was Karl Rove's deputy. And I said, Chris, has the Pentagon been hit? And he said, affirmative. And there was sort of that military language that really put oh my God, I said, we're at war. I mean, I knew now two planes had hit. I knew we were under terrorist attack.
And you knew it wasn't all about you all of a sudden?
No, I knew. Immediately when it was a terrorist attack, I knew it was Al-Qaeda, because we had that intelligence in the city for a couple of years. We had thought there'd be an attack on December 31st, 1999. Almost canceled the New Year's Eve celebration that year. I think one was canceled, one of the cities, Seattle or something. And so we were ready for it. We never anticipated airplanes being used as missiles hitting the building.
And Rudy, that's one of the things that was different because the World Trade Centers were struck years earlier.
93, the year before I became mayor.
Right, and in that case, there was essentially a car bomb down the basement that blew up.
Fully expected that to happen again. In fact, I was surprised it hadn't happened in the 7 years before. There had been at least 3 or 4 threats. There had been the police department stopped as a guy was hitting a toggle switch and shot him. So we were really close to it.
Right, but not that. But Rudy, with that particular strike, everybody stayed at their desk in the World Trade Center towers, and that was the mode of operation on September the 11th, 2001 as well, because the belief was we're going to send the firemen up to you and bring you down. Don't evacuate the building.
That's why actually the firefighters performed the greatest evacuation in American history.
Exactly.
Because when I first heard how many people were dead, the calculation was 12,000. That calculation was based on a pretty good estimate of who was in the building and who could get out in that period of time, particularly with the confusion that you're talking about. But if you read the 9/11 report, which has criticisms, but I'll tell you one thing that it says clearly, they took out almost 100% of the people they were capable of taking out, which means they took out the people Pete Gansey told me he would take out. When I went up to him, I saw a man jump from the 100th floor. Must have been like in a state of shock, but you contain it. You don't realize it. You realize it a couple of days later. And I saw the man splatter on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And I went up to Pete and I said, Pete, can we get up there? Can we get up there with a helicopter? And Pete said, my guys can get everybody below the fire. He looked at me like, with steel eyes, like, Mayor, don't push me. I'm not going to get my men killed up there. And then I looked up and I realized why. The flames were shooting out of the window. You put a helicopter anywhere near there, boom, the thing's going to blow.
There's so many thoughts that are going through all of our minds this morning. We saw Rob O'Neill at the memorial. He's walking through the museum, and then he ends with the shot of the shirt that he was wearing when he was on the other side of the world killing the man who was responsible for this. We're talking about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. He's now going to trial 20 years later. But I was talking to a friend of mine last night. She said, I know.
Impossible.
I know. Talking to a friend of mine last night, Rudy, and she said her husband was in the building, one of the towers. He got out, but he lost so many friends that day. And she said, when you report tomorrow, she said, tell the story of 9/11, but also tell the story of the heroes. What are some of the heroic stories?
Well, I mean, you just did Stephen Silla, who's emblematic of all of them, right? He ran to the fire, ran in. I'll give you another hero, Rick Riscola, who saved everybody at Morgan Stanley, I believe it is. The day after, I called up the CEO of Morgan Stanley, and I said, can I help you, after having called Cantor Fitzgerald and a few other places? Because I thought they had lost about 400 people. I think 3 people, 4 people. The head of security, Rick Riscola, who volunteered for the Vietnam War, became an American citizen, volunteered for the Vietnam War, and got every single person out by going into their doors. And some of them, half got out. The other half was sitting there confused. Get out, 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 out. That's what he did in the amount of time that he had before he died.
A couple of things come to mind. Number one, there's a report today in the New York Post that Richard Miniter chronicled, who was one of the first ones to write holistically about bin Laden and what he was up to. He said not only is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed sitting at Gitmo changing he's as a martyr, he wrote down the flight numbers of the airplanes on a piece of paper, made it into an airplane, and threw it at one of the family members as they sat at Gitmo at his trial, at his hearing. How does it make you feel that there's so little?
I probably cannot describe it. If I described it, I'd probably embarrass myself.
Why is it taking this long to...
The anger is tremendous. I mean, all the time that I was there for the 4 months that I watched the recovery effort and watched the bodies being carried out and went to 100, I don't know, a lot of funerals, the anger was tremendous. When I saw President Bush for the first time, and he got off the helicopter, I was with Governor Pataki. He greeted the governor. He came up to me, and there's a very famous picture of it. He has the back of my head like that.
Yeah.
And he says to me, Rudy, what can I do? I said, when you get bin Laden, you can let me kill him. Or I might have said execute him. I think I was thinking as a lawyer. I thought there'd be capital punishment, and I could try the case. I had done that for 2 Nazis.
We were heading towards...
I only had 2 capital cases in my career, and both of them were Nazis. One had killed 7,000 people, the other killed 12,000 people. Capital case is easy when it's like that. And this guy would have been, although maybe you keep him alive and get information.
And Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was the mastermind, and he sits at Gitmo.
Yeah, but I mean, it's absurd. But the point that I would like to make is that those firefighters, the police officers, and lots of civilians will never know about, like Rick. I just use Rick as an example. I can give you 20 other stories like that. An elderly man, people are getting on the elevator, they're trying to get in. He says, no, no, no. And he looks at them, and he says to about 40 people in the elevator, of whom I probably talked to 5, he says to them, no, I've already lived my life. You're all younger.
Wow.
And he lets the elevator close. And then the building blows.
No way.
And there's a lot of survivor's guilt for those, especially the fire department. They feel
Shouldn't have it.
bad.
I deal with it with some friends of mine. I mean, I should have been there. I should have... Bernie can tell you this. We were on this side of the building 2.5 blocks away. If you were on that side of the building 2.5 blocks away, you wouldn't be here to describe it. We didn't determine how the building was going to come down. It came down, it imploded, but it slightly went a little bit to the south, which, by the way, is what Pete Gansey told me. That one of the things he told me and Bernie is, tell all these people to go north and to get out of here. Because some of the people, you see people running away, right? Mm-hmm. You can see a few shots if you look carefully of people just standing there. They're coming out.
And watching.
The building was dangerous before the buildings came down. I saw people hit with debris. Quite possible that Father Judge was killed that way, with debris while he was ministering to somebody. Mm-hmm. Before the building came down, I can't tell you how many were killed outside. Some were killed by dead bodies. Some were killed by debris. But some people were just standing there in harm's way, mesmerized by the fire, which happens at fires. It's a thing that firefighters know. So he wanted those people out of there because he thought they'd be hurt. It was also blocking the ability of him getting trucks in and out. And at that point, he thought he was going to be fighting the fire all day. Now, people asked me, did they know it would implode that way? And I said, no, because the chief said to me, and this man had fought 4,000 fires, probably fought more high-rise fires than anybody in America, maybe anybody in the world, given the skyscrapers in the city. And high-rise fires are, I mean, you need to be a brain surgeon and an atomic physicist to know how to fight a fire like that. And he said, get the guys in right away. Tell Tommy to get the guys. He said, I told Tommy to get the guys in right away because I'm going to have to relieve these guys very quickly. We're going to be here forever. Yeah. What he meant was the building was going to come down, but it would come down in stages, the way other buildings come down, not.
Do you ever have moments when, I mean, listening to these stories that Rob O'Neill talked about a single mom who had 2 kids, I believe he said, and she jumped. You know she's desperate. Like, no mom would do that. And she was holding her skirt down, wanting to die in dignity. I mean,
if I have a recurring image, and I have a lot, particularly when I go there, because then I see places where I saw Terry Hatton's truck, or where I saw Chief Gansey for the last time, or Father Judge. I shook his hand, and he looked at me, and he said, and he always teased me. Man was the funniest man that ever lived. Priest, Catholic Franciscan priest. And I used to say to him, we had like a little joke. I'd say, Father, pray for me. And he would look at me and say, it'd be a lot more effective if you did. Because it'd be a surprise for him. No joking. Go up to his Father, pray for us, I said. He said, I am. Yeah. God, it set the chills up my spine when I saw this. This is another man who's been at 1,000 fires. He was a firefighter's chaplain, meaning he'd go right near the fire, right next to it, which is why he died.
You heading downtown right now? Sure,
in a little while, yeah. Right. Yeah. Every year, you go there and see all the families and the names, and it's a mixed. It's the saddest day and it's the happiest day because there was so much bravery. America was at its best for weeks.
We were all united.
You go back and you say now, I wish we could recapture half of that. I remember
we will.
The people cheering for President Bush, and I said to him, we were coming up the West Side, and they were cheering for him. He had a little smile on his face, and I said to him, Mr. President, they didn't vote for you.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, Rudy, thank you very much for
Thanks, Rudy.